Hello, all of you beautiful people, and welcome back or welcome to the Voice of Reality, a podcast. This one is a little bit different, and this is kind of what I'm going to do a lot more coming into the new year. But you can either be listening to this on Spotify as usual, or you can be watching it. You can actually see me on YouTube either. So, completely up to yourself what suits you a little bit more. Sometimes I do like actually visualizing and seeing what's going on, or sometimes I'm like, I just watch it on or listen to it on Spotify when I'm in the gym and things like that. So wanted to give you all a little bit of a choice. A little bit of a choice going into 2026 that we are going to have, especially on ones like this, because this is a kind of more fun and relaxed kind of episode, which I am a major fan of, and I do want to bring more of that in as well. And yes, other than that, welcome. Welcome to the safe space of reality, quite literally. I wanted to make this podcast to give reality a platform and a little bit of a voice, and to just talk about like real life things, things that we struggle with, things that I've had experience with, things that my clients have experience with, and for you to feel safe and to feel heard and to feel like you're in a space of reality rather than the distorted version of online that we get these days. So that's why we're here. And I really want to up that, and I really want to bring more and more to you in 2026, and just in general as much as possible, whether that's through YouTube, whether that's through Spotify, whether that's anything at all. I just want to give you all as much as I can for free, literally for free as well. So I really want to just do that as much as possible. And that is a goal of mine, I shall say. And yes, I'm really excited for this episode because, as I said, it's a little bit more relaxed. It's an episode on things we are leaving behind in 2026, like sayonara, goodbye. And if you're watching me here on YouTube, you will see that I have everything written out. I have my laptop here, okay? And I could have done it on my laptop because I have my laptop anyway, so why wouldn't I? But I don't know about anyone else, but I am such a pen to paper gal. Like, if someone was to hand me a pen and paper on my phone, like I will just automatically go to the paper, like, and I will write it down rather than type it into my phone. I do think that we're kind of like the last generation of that, because surely we to God these days it's just always going to be in the phone, and that's what everyone kind of reaches for, which is obviously absolutely fine. But I don't know why I will always reach for a pen and piece of paper rather than like my laptop. And I was only laughing at that there when I came on to start chatting to you all, because I was like, there is so much on this desk right now, but like I have to have this because it's what I'm reading off. God forbid I was reading off my laptop, which is here anyway. And I have to have it here. But yeah, I don't know about anyone else out there. If you're a pen to paper gal, we were born in the 90s for sure. We were born in the 90s for sure. A little bit of a millennial moment coming through from us there. But I'd be laughing as well, because the thing with millennial and Gen Z has become such a massive thing lately, and that massive gap between how different we are. And I feel like I'm just like on the cusp of both, because yes, I'm a millennial, I'm a 96 queen, okay? Any other 96 queens out there? We are turning 30 this year. So we're going to be namasteing throughout the whole year. What an iconic year for us all, like literally. And that's something that we're going to chat through within the podcast as well. But I am a 96 queen. So I do feel like I personally um I'm on the like verge of both. Like, I am a millennial through and through, and I know that I have so many millennial traits, but I'm also not like as much as a millennial as like my sisters are, that are like the 80s, kind of late 80s, coming into the 90s. And I'm like, I do have a lot of Gen Z traits as well. So I'm a little bit of a mix, which I'm like, that's a bit of a flex. But now there's like Gen X and Gen Ultra coming through, and I'm like, sorry, since when am I two generations behind? Since when am I actually now like a millennials two generations behind? It was bad enough when it was one and I wasn't even reaching Gen Z standards, but now there's like a whole new generation. And wowie, you do feel a bit like, right, we're getting on with age here. But as always, we're always as young as we feel and as we think we are. So it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a flex being in the middle of both. In the middle of both is always nice. But yes, this episode, we are going to chat a little bit more on what we are leaving behind in 2025. I think I said 2026 a minute ago there, but that's my bad. We're all good. What we're leaving behind in 2025 and what we're going to focus more on coming into 2026. And these are things that I have picked up on in 2025 that were either trends or just kind of little things that were creeping up and people were buying into and going way too far into in general that we need to say goodbye to, because really they're serving nobody, absolutely nobody. And they are just trends, really. Do you know what I mean? They're just these quick fix fad things that burn out eventually anyway. Probably not very good for us, probably not very good for mental health or the physique or anything of the likes. Some of them are to do with fitness, some of them are to do with just life in general. And I am very excited to kind of go through this with you all. And hopefully some of you, it sparks a little bit of something in some of you and you can relate. Of course, that's what we're here for, to be relatable. And yes, I do want to bring in, as I said, a little bit different bits and bobs into the podcast scene this year, mainly because I want to, be a little bit more diverse with it, giving you all information as much as possible, but just making it a little bit more fun as well. So let's dig deep. Let's get into number one that we are leaving in 2025, Queens, is Labubu's. This is a little bit more of a just that we need to just get that off our chests, okay? Labubu's, goodbye. I don't know if anyone's screaming at me now, being like, no, we love those, but I can proudly, hand on my heart, say I've bought a Labubu, but it wasn't for me. It was actually for one of my nieces as a gift because they literally needed it, God forbid, back in July. But I have never, and I can proudly say, hand on my heart, bought myself a Labubu or done one of those unpackaging surprise box things. And I know that they're just a bit of fun, but wow, they were screaming at us all for a while there. They were literally screaming at us, as in, if you didn't have one, you nearly felt weird. And I'm actually very proud of the fact that I didn't buy one. I've never opened one up. I've never sat in front of a camera and did it because it was such a trend. And I'm like, do you know what? I didn't buy into that. And anyone else out there, here, what a flex. If you did do it, that is absolutely fine. We are not judging you. We are not judging you here, but we're leaving it in 2025. Okay. Sayonara. Goodbye. Namaste. Who needs them? Okay, do not be wasting your money on Labubus in 2026. But no, that's just a little bit more of a fun one. Let's get into the real stuff here. Okay, so number one that I really like with chest, with all of my 32A double A chest, want to get across is we are leaving the 75 hard challenge so far in 2025 and in 2024, because that's kind of when it started. We are leaving her so far behind, we're all waving her off, okay? Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye, see you later, okay? Because that 75 hard challenge has probably been so detrimental to so many people's fitness journeys. It might have been amazing for some people, but for a lot, for majority, 99.99% of people, it is not what you need. It is not going to help you in any sort of way. It's one of those fast blitz challenges that have you going to major extremes for no good reason. And then you're left at the end of it, yes, maybe with a little bit of a result or maybe feeling a little bit better, but you can't sustain it. So what are you meant to do when you get to day 75 and you might feel a bit better in yourself or look a little bit better? And then what? Because you can't sustain what you were doing for those 75 days. So really, okay, I understand that, maybe if we're not doing the 75-day hard, then what do we do? Do you know what I mean? What can we do? What about 365 lifestyle? What about that? Why don't we bring her in? Okay, so let's bring her in to 2026, where we are genuinely building a lifestyle for 365 days of the year instead of this all extreme kind of 75-day hard challenge, any of those blitz shred challenges in general. Like, let's just cut them loose. Like, let's just cut them loose. They don't serve anyone. And that 75-day hard was such a massive trend for so long. It was painful to watch, I won't lie. And it was actually scary as well for a while because so many people were feeding into it. And a lot of people would fail. Like, they would maybe get to day 20, day 30, even day 10, and end up failing and then feeling awful in themselves because they couldn't actually keep it up. But really, like, you were setting yourself up for failure in the first place because it's so extreme and so intense. And that goes for the 75-day challenge and the 75-day hard is kind of like that umbrella. It puts all of those like challenges and stuff under that umbrella of just going way too intense and just going way too hard too fast and never being able to sustain it. So we're leaving that behind. We want to bring in 365 lifestyle, okay, where we are building habits. We are building it brick by brick. We're not going hell for leather straight away. We're building it around our own lifestyle. We're building it around our own routine. And we're allowing ourselves to actually build something that's sustainable rather than these hard blitz challenges, shreds, these honestly good for nothing trends and fad diets and quick fixes that genuinely serve nobody but the person making money from them. So let's leave the 75 hard behind. 365 lifestyle is coming in, and we are so here for that. We are so here for changing our lifestyle rather than a few little things that we go way too hard and way too intense on, and then we can't sustain it. And we end up back at the start or worse off. And we don't want that. We absolutely don't want that. The second thing that we are leaving in 2025, and we're leaving this just behind in general, is the word motivation. Okay? We're all listening loud and clear. The word motivation. I cannot explain how much that word irks me. It literally makes me go, it like makes me like flinch because motivation does not actually exist in the way that we think it does. Obviously, the word motivation exists, but motivation isn't something that we should be using to dictate our day to day and our journeys and our goals and what we're doing with regards to our achievements and what we actually want to do in our life in general. Because if we were to actually rely on motivation and use motivation to dictate what we do in our lives and day to day, you best believe we would not be getting very far or very past the door. We wouldn't get past the door. We probably wouldn't get past a week of what we want to do and what we want to achieve. Because motivation literally is a feeling. And if you were to rely on a feeling every day, it's going to change. Your feelings change every hour, let alone every day, let alone every week, let alone every month. So if you were to rely on that feeling of motivation, you're not going to get very far. And you hear a lot of us talking about that in the industry and in with regards to fitness and your goals and all of that, and with regards to your mindset, that motivation genuinely doesn't exist in the way that we believe it to, because it's not something that we should rely on. It's not something that should be allowed to dictate our journeys. And if we were to wake up and say to ourselves, do I feel motivated today? Do I have motivation to get up and go to the gym today? And if we were to say, yeah, today I do, so we went. And then if on the other days we say no, so we don't go, you best believe you probably never end up going and getting shit done, because a lot of the time, majority of the time, you feel motivated 1 out of 10 days, or you feel motivated to do something 1 day out of a month. And you might feel motivated at the start of something, but then come the middle and the end, sure, you never want to do those things and you never feel motivated. So relying on that and asking yourself, do I feel motivated today to do this? Well, what happens if you don't feel motivated? Are just not going to do it? Because that's what a lot of us do. That's what a lot of what I see people doing is, oh, well, I don't feel motivated enough, so I'm just going to opt out and I'm just not going to do it. Are you kidding me? We're not relying on motivation to dictate if we're going to do something or not. So we are leaving that in 2025. And of course, we're bringing in discipline. Discipline eats motivation for breakfast, literally. And we're actually going to ask ourselves in the mornings, are we disciplined enough to show up for ourselves? Are we proud of ourselves enough to show up for ourselves? Do we truly want what we believe we want to show up for? And that's what we want to rely on, discipline. Okay. And I know you probably hear that a lot, but please stop using the word motivation the way we've been using it, and stop allowing our mindset to choose motivation over discipline, because it's never going to get you very far. It's never going to get you very far. Okay. And we really, really want to work on putting motivation to the side. Of course, it's great to feel motivated. Motivation is really just feeling excited. It's just the feeling of being excited, so we want to put that to the side. Motivation's great. It is good in certain aspects, but when it comes to creating a life that you want, or a lifestyle, or a habit, or getting after your goals, unfortunately, we need to put that to the side, and we cannot rely on it, because it would be great if we all felt motivated and up and ready and wanted to get going every single day, but we don't. Okay. So we literally cannot choose that. We need to choose discipline. So motivation 2025, discipline 2026. And that is exactly what we want. Discipline is also a skill. So we need to practice the skill of discipline and working on it. And it's a habit. Getting up every day and choosing discipline, that's a habit. So that's something that we need to work on every single day. It doesn't just come naturally. And that's something we're going to bring with us into 2026, that we want to work on that. Number 3, and this is obviously something massive that we have seen coming into 2025. That is GLP-1s and just GLP in general. Okay. We're not going to judge people for if they genuinely need it. Okay. This is something that goes into 2 brackets, because sometimes people genuinely need this and it's a health issue. Okay. Obviously, if it's been like literally diagnosed, you need this, it's been prescribed by your doctor, like absolutely, like who, like no one's judging, no one's ever going to be like, what? But if you're just choosing, right, and there's a very, very big difference between these 2 brackets of someone who genuinely needs it, someone genuinely who cannot do it without it. Okay, that's one. There's another bracket of people that will just be like, sure, I'll just do that. And look, I might piss a few people off, but are genuinely just lazy and just choose the easy route. As I said, there's 2 brackets. There's a bracket that you actually genuinely need it, and it's something that you cannot, like, you can't do it without it. But then there is a bracket, and we all know of people that are just like, sure, I'll just do that instead. I don't want to have to go to the gym. I don't want to have to, clean up my nutrition. I don't want to have to make better choices. I don't want to have to do more steps in the day. So I'm just going to do this instead and take the easy option out. We are leaving the easy option behind. Monjaro, GLPs in general. I hope you know that like Monjaro and Ozempic are just words for GLPs. They're just like fancy words to put on top of them and to sell them to you all. And really what it's doing is it's really playing with your hormones, your appetite, your response to food and things like that in general. And it really isn't the best for you, obviously, health reasons. Number 1, it can really, really mess with your health. And number 2, long-term effects. It's really dangerous. So yeah, it might look pretty and it might look easy and it might look great because I lose weight in a certain amount of time and that's all I want in a quick fix, but it is not good long-term. And you also need to think to yourself, okay, you might go and think that this is the way forward and take that easy route. But what happens when you stop taking it? What happens when you never actually put in the effort to create a more sustainable, healthy habits and lifestyle, and you never created that actual lifestyle? What happens then when you stop taking these things and it wears off and you can't rely on it anymore and you just go back to your old ways? You best believe all of that weight and everything that you worked on with the actual drug itself to stop comes straight back, and if not worse, because your digestion is then fucked, your metabolism is gone in bin, and your hormones and everything are all over the place as well, and your mindset's all over the place. So you'll be in a worse off place there choosing that easy route and that quick fix and that short term effect rather than actually truly working on your lifestyle and those long term results, because that's what's actually going to serve you for life rather than just a couple of months. Okay. And that's very important. And anyone that is in the bracket of needing it and actually, not being able to do things without it and not being able to actually get to their results without it, please make sure that you're also working on your lifestyle alongside of that, because it's very, very important to remember that these GLPs and the Ozempic and the Mounjaros and all of that, the drugs in general, are there to help you and support while creating a lifestyle alongside it. Because as I said, if you're still not creating that lifestyle and if you're still not doing the things that need to be done with the habits and the lifestyle alongside it, you will go right back to the start. You will go right back to the start, because what are you going to do once you stop? Okay, so make sure you're working alongside of it. They're there to help and support. They're not there to just do all of the work and to keep you like that for life. If you think that, that's you've a rude awakening coming. So please make sure that you're still doing what you need to do alongside it and you are changing your habits. Now, the next thing that we are leaving in 2025 is cottage cheese. What was going on with the world and what was going on in general with everyone eating cottage cheese? I won't lie, I'm not a cottage cheese girly, and if it is the case that you like that, keep her up. Love that. But you do not need to put cottage cheese into every single meal that you have, okay? Into every single recipe that you have. I don't know what was going on in 2025, but everyone was throwing cottage cheese into everything that they were eating, into their cereal, into their meat, into their onto rice crackers. There was just cottage cheese everywhere. I think one of the wildest ones that I saw was people putting cottage cheese into their oats, like on top of their oats as like a topping, like to eat. Oh my god. Maybe it's nice. I don't know. But personally, I would never be trying that. And it genuinely made me gag. So we're leaving cottage cheese behind, as well as overcomplicated protein recipes. Okay. Because I don't know about anyone else, but we all see these recipes coming up on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok of, oh, this high protein, easy, simple recipe. And it is the furthest thing from easy. It is literally probably going to take you an hour to create. There's some of them that are amazing. I do get that. But majority of them you're going to save and you're probably never going to make them. If you do make them, they taste like absolute arse. Or they take about an hour to actually make. So they're actually not that easy. They're actually not that easy. It's just that the actual TikTok or the reel makes it look easy because the reel's 30 seconds long. And they are overcomplicating things and they are actually taking away from your enjoyment of your food. And a huge thing that I'm going to say is you don't need to put protein and cottage cheese and random things into your food to make it high in protein. Just stick to whole foods. Get 20 to 30 grams of protein into each meal. That is a simple thing to do through normal sources of protein without overcomplicating things. And that's a massive thing that I work on with my team as well. I'm not here to give you like overcomplicated protein recipes. We want to be able to get that in naturally through whole foods rather than literally spending hours cooking things and all this random protein and powder and cottage cheese and random things, making your food taste like shit as well. No one wants that. So let's leave that in 2025 and let's bring in whole foods and actually trying to reach our protein through natural ways and just through good solid meals. Okay. We don't need to overcomplicate things here, especially coming into 2026. So another thing that we are leaving in 2025, and I don't know if this is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway, is shite coaches and coaches that genuinely just want to get a transformation out of you and just want a photo of a before and after to post on their page. The reason why I added this one in is because I think 2025 was the year where I saw the most of this happening and where I was getting a lot of girls coming onto the team telling me that this has happened to them. And it is soul destroying. It is genuinely heartbreaking from someone that genuinely cares so damn much, nearly too much. I could start crying talking about this. My eyes are watering. And from someone who genuinely cares just way too much about coaching and about seeing people actually do better and want to become their best version of themselves. And I'm so passionate about it. And I do get emotional about it. Like even now I'm talking about it and I do get emotional. It is so hard seeing people in the industry take the piss out of that. It's really, really hard seeing that. And it's really hard seeing people then come onto the team who have gotten firsthand seats to that and have had an awful experience with the coach that is toxic, that does just want them to lose as much weight as possible, get a good photo out of them. And unfortunately, for females, that comes at a hefty price because a lot of the time you'll lose your period. You will have health issues. Your mindset will be in the bin. Your body image will be in the bin. And as a female, like it is very important to feel confident in who you are and to have that feminine confidence, to know that your cycle is working properly, your reproductive system is working as it should, to having good body confidence. I honestly feel like every single female and male really, but it does come more to females where we will feel that and have that impact on us a lot more. I feel like every single female should feel like that in life and have that confidence, and to know that there is coaches out there that will take you in and break that down on you and shed it apart literally makes my boil blood. I do think it's more rage than anything else, and it's just being left in 2025. Literally, can we all just agree? Can we all hold hands and agree that we are leaving that behind and we are genuinely choosing, if we are going into the coaching kind of side of things and do want help and support, we are genuinely choosing a coach that cares and that has the values that we have. Please, what I would say as well to avoid this is to actually do your research and your due diligence on the coach that you choose. Hop on a call with them. If a coach doesn't want to hop on a call with you, first red flag, okay? Hop on a call with them, see who they are, really, really kind of invest on if they're genuine and if they care, and look at their content and really see, like, it's not all about results. Results are amazing. And yes, coaches should have results on their page, but they should also show who they are, and they should also be showing their values through their content and through their coaching kind of style. And that needs to sit right with you, and that needs to be something that you find value in. And that's something that we really, really need to align with more coming into 2026, is choosing people that have the right values rather than just a good result, or rather than someone who is a good sales rep and gets you in through sales, rather than the fact that they actually care and want you to thrive. Okay, so shite coaches being left in 2025, I've seen way too much of it in 2025, unfortunately, and that's why I literally had to put it on the list. And we are bringing into 2026 actually doing our research and actually finding a coach, if it is the case that you want to coach and help and support, who cares, okay? And who genuinely wants the best for you. Another thing we're leaving in 2025 is that scales mentality. Okay, this is something that we are just leaving behind in general, not just in 2025. I have seen this way too much over the years. We are leaving the scales behind. And what we are bringing into 2026 is how we feel, obviously, number one, but also just more knowledge around the scales and around why we don't actually need it. I have a podcast episode on the scales, and I genuinely think it's one of the best ones that I've ever done, and one of my favorites. There is so much knowledge in it about not only, right, why we shouldn't rely on the scales, but why, like the information, the science behind it as to why we should not rely on the scales. Like surface level, we shouldn't rely on the scales because it does change so much, and we know that. But also because everyone's body is so different. So someone could be like, I want to be 63 kg, and it's like, yeah, but why? What significance is that number? And they're kind of like, oh, I don't actually know, I just want to be that number and hopefully I'll feel better. No one actually knows if they're going to feel better at those numbers. You actually just feel better when you feel better. Okay, so we really want to bring in feeling more so into ourselves, and really gauging in on knowledge around the scales, around how our body works, around why it fluctuates, around the science behind it as to why we don't actually need the scales. Because surface level, we don't need it because it's just a number and it's just a piece of metal, like genuinely. But there is science behind why we actually don't need it. And a lot of us need to scratch up on that and need that information, because we need to rewire our brains and our thoughts on it. And I do have a podcast further down on the scales, and it's very informative, and I would say to watch it if it's something that you struggle with. So yes, we're leaving that behind and our mindset around the scales behind, but we're bringing in learning more on why and the knowledge around our bodies and how it changes. Okay. The next thing that we are bringing into, so it's not that we're leaving this behind, but we're bringing it into 2026, is the knowledge on our menstrual cycle and on our hormonal cycle in general. I will make this short and sweet, but if you are a female listening to this and you don't know when your next period is going to start or in and around, when you're ovulating, when your ovulation window is, and when you're most fertile, if you don't know what it means on like maybe different colors of discharge or different colors of the period itself, or maybe when it's lighter or heavier or when things change, yeah, you need to have a little bit of a look on yourself, and you need to be like, okay, maybe that's a goal of mine for 2026, is to be more engaged with my cycle and with my menstrual and hormonal cycle itself. Because being a female and not understanding your own body, I just don't get that. But we're bringing it into 2026, and if that is something that you aren't really in tune with, let's get that right, because that's massive, and you will find so much change in your mindset, in your body, and in your progress as well if you actually are more in tune with this, because you start to learn so much more about your body and how you can actually make more progress through that and why certain things are happening. So that's a massive thing. Another thing we're leaving behind in 2025, very simple, is comparison. Comparison of our goals, comparison of our achievements, comparison of our lives. It's a massive thing that I used to struggle with that I am now literally trying to get out of. And I think we all struggle with it as well. Of course, every now and again it will creep in. But a massive thing that we want to do is leave it behind in the sense of, let's tone it down a notch. Okay. Of course, it might creep in every now and again, but let's try and lessen it as much as possible. Okay. And let's bring in actually just watering our own grass and really concentrating on our own selves. Because if we're constantly like this and looking and wondering what's going on over here and oh, what's Michelle doing? Well, then we're not focusing on ourselves. Our own goals aren't doing what they need to be doing, and we're not doing what we need to be doing, because why are we looking at Michelle? Michelle's doing what she needs to do. That's why Michelle's doing so well. So let's bring the focus back to ourselves instead of people around us. Another thing that we are leaving behind is low-rise jeans. Okay, I'm going to say that with so much chest. Literally, chest is out and we're ready. Low-rise jeans be gone. We are bringing back high-rise skinny jeans. Can someone please make that happen? Can someone who is extremely influential in the fashion industry listen to this and make high-rise skinny jeans happen again? Because they are where we all thrive. Okay, that's where we all thrive. I don't know who brought in these low-rise mom jeans and all of that, but they are not hitting as well as the skinny jeans used to. So let's make that happen. Okay, so back to another serious one here that we are leaving in 2025, and that is skinny talk. We're leaving skinny talk in 2025. That was massive. The last 6 months of 2025, I was like, whoa, what is going on in the world? We have come way too far to now allow ourselves to start watching and being engrossed with this awful content about how you should eat as little as possible, how you should skip meals on certain times. If you haven't done enough activity, then you shouldn't eat. Some of the things I'd seen was actually so extremely toxic. I had to try and black it out of my brain. It actually traumatized me. So I don't want to get too far into that, because I also don't want people to start looking at it or for our phones to hear us talking about it. We're just leaving it behind, full stop. Okay. And we're bringing in strength, feeling strong, feeling sexy, feeling feminine, and nothing about skinny talk is coming with us into 2026. Goodbye. And that's that. Okay. The next one is the word toned. I love when people come to me and say, I want to get a bit more toned. And I'm like, hell yeah. But I don't think people actually realize what that means. I think surface level, everyone wants to be toned. Everyone wants to be toned. Everyone wants to look like they have a little bit of muscle definition and toned. But no one actually realizes what comes with that and what it actually means to be toned and what you need to do to be toned. You need to build muscle. You need to have enough muscle to actually see the muscle and to feel toned and to look the way you want to look. I can guarantee everyone nearly sees someone that's in the gym and they do look toned and they do look lean and then you can see their muscle mass. And you're like, oh my God, that's what I want to look like. I want to look like that. I can guarantee that that took years. Okay. It takes years to look toned, we shall say, to look toned. I have that in brackets and in commas there because it is something that I love, people having that goal, because yes, as you should, everyone should want to look toned and should want to see a little bit more muscle mass and to just look a little bit lean. I don't mean jacked. I don't mean we want to look big and bulky and like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like we don't need that. We don't need that. I love the toned look. I do absolutely get what people mean when they say that. It's a little bit more soft, but looking like you do go to the gym. But it takes a lot longer than you think. It doesn't take 12 weeks, it doesn't take 24 weeks. It does take time. And it probably does take years to get to that position that you're thinking in your head that you want to get to. That's something that we want to leave behind, is that expectation of things taking quicker than we think. Okay? Another thing that we're leaving in 2025 is the marketing of PCOS like it is a shiny toy. This is something that I've noticed massively in 2025. And if you ever see something that's like, I'm a PCS coach and I will help you burn and blitz off your belly fat, please delete, please block, please get rid. Okay, because they are trying to market it to you in a way that is keywords, buzzwords, is sales. Burning off your belly fat, torching, scorching your belly fat, that doesn't happen. And anyone that has PCOS and anyone that has experience with it, myself, a lot of my clients have PCOS and we work through it and we get to a point where, you know, we are very much so in a better place with it. But anyone that has experience or has it knows that it does not work like that. You cannot just scorch your belly fat. PCOS is so much deeper than that. PCOS is a health condition and should be treated as one. It should not be treated as a shiny toy in the marketing scheme to some fitness coaches. And it is one of the most toxic things I've seen in 2025. And I really hope that anyone who has gone through that or maybe has had a bad experience with it, I hope you're okay. There is coaches out there that genuinely want the best for you and genuinely want to care about your health and don't just want to scorch belly fat and get you in and get you hooked through that wording and then to not do jack shit for you. So yes, anyone that's using that wording, you need to get rid, because that's not good, and it genuinely irks me and it genuinely boils my blood when I see it, because it's all marketing and it's all just a sales tactic, and it's not nice because they're using an actual genuine health condition that people actually truly struggle with to their own advantage, and that doesn't sit right with me. Okay, so we're going to leave her behind. See you later. 2025 gone. 2026, we're genuinely taking PCOS as a health condition and working on that. And it is it's a very important one to work on as well when it comes to your cycle, your menstrual cycle. And then of course, when it comes to physique goals, because it can hinder your physique goals. Of course, it can slow things down and it can stop things and all of that. So what I would say for anyone that struggles with that or has experience with it is to work on the PCOS itself, to work on the health conditions itself first, to get that in line and to get that in a good place, to get your menstrual cycle in a good place first, and then work on your actual physique goals, because they come hand in hand and they all come in line together. Another thing that we are going to leave behind is anyone that you see using ChatGPT, especially in the fitness industry, okay, because I know that you can use it just like on everyday life or just kind of playfully or something that is of no harm to use ChatGPT. But if you're seeing coaches use it for their captions or for information to give you, goodbye. Because it is so easy, and I hope people know that it is so easy to use ChatGPT and to just pretend that you know things. I am not trying to be big headed here. This is honestly a massive flex of mine, along with not getting a Labubu for myself and doing those unboxes. I have never downloaded or used ChatGPT. I just like, I'm kind of like, I don't really get it because I already have what I need in my head, if that makes sense. And maybe that's just, I'm actually like, you know what? I actually do think that's a bit of a flex that I've never used it, in the sense of I've never used it for content. I've never used it for ideas. I've never used it for information. If someone asks me a question, they are getting the information from me, from my brain, from my experience, from what I know, from my knowledge. They're not getting it from me going to an AI bot, literally. So that is something you need to be very careful of, because a lot of people's degrees and diplomas, not just in fitness, but in general, is now ChatGPT, is now an AI bot. So just be very careful there, okay? And to be on it, but 2025, that was massive. I noticed it so much. And I only really in the past month noticed that, oh, I actually never use that. And a lot of people do. And maybe, do you know what? Because it could be very beneficial as well. And you could use it in a light sense and to actually just help and support with things. But I wouldn't be using it for absolutely everything. Okay. Just be very careful. So yes, another thing there is the TikTok fitness trends. Okay. This does go in line with the 75 hard as well. And this is just something that I'm going to tip on very quickly, because it does go in line with a lot that I talked with the 75 hard. But it's just not, it's not getting a plan and a generic plan from TikTok or from someone you see online that you think is going to miraculously going to work for you. Because you need to realize that everyone is individual and everyone is very different. And we need to realize that, you know, what works for one person is going to work for everyone. So those TikTok trends and maybe those reels and things that you see on social media that works for one person and you think is going to change your life might not work for you. Now, it might work, but 99% of the time it's very general and it might not work for you and for your life and for what you actually truly want. And what I would say there is to work on your own individual goals and your own individual plan that truly works for your own routine and your own lifestyle. Okay, that's very important. Yes. So the last one, well, the last two, okay. The last one, when it comes to you and your goals for this year, this one's very important. And this is the one thing that I will say to take from. There's so much to take from this episode, to be honest, because I've chatted on a lot of things that I could honestly do a whole podcast on. And I've kind of given a little bit of a debrief on a few little things that I could do an actual whole podcast on. And maybe I will, maybe I'll go back and dig a little bit deeper into the few things that I've talked about there, because I feel like I'm only going surface level instead of literally digging hard into them. And a lot of them you might actually want more answers on. But this one here, I really want you all to take with you. I want you to grab it with both hands, grab her, take her with you as you leave this podcast episode. And I want no one snoozing their alarms coming into 2026. Okay, there's a time and place for it, because of course there's some times where it might be needed and you may actually genuinely need that rest. But if there's one thing I will say to you to help you get after your goals and to truly create discipline and confidence, is to wake up when you said you were going to wake up, is to set the alarm and actually press the alarm off and get out of bed, because that is true discipline. That is telling yourself, you told yourself the day before, the night before, that you were going to wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. Wake up at 6 a.m. and go to the gym. It's as simple as that. Not snoozing your alarm is the first key thing to take into your day. Imagine starting your day with snoozing your alarm and then waking up late, not doing what you said you were going to do. So maybe it was something as simple as you just wanted to get up a little bit earlier so you weren't rushing as much in the morning. You wanted to get up a little bit earlier because you wanted to go for a walk in the morning. You wanted to go to the gym. You wanted to journal. You wanted to listen to your favorite podcast in the morning and set the tone for the day. It can be something so simple, but you set your alarm for a specific reason earlier in the morning, and then you press snooze and you don't actually wake up. Do you realize that you are signaling to yourself that you can't trust yourself? You set that alarm, you said you were going to wake up, you said you were going to do these things, and then all of a sudden, first thing in the morning, the first thing that you do in the day is snooze it and not do what you said you were going to do. Do you understand how detrimental that is to your actual mindset? You're literally showing yourself that you have no confidence in your actual word, in the things that you said you were going to do. You've no trust in that because you're not doing the things you said you were going to do. So please stop snoozing your alarm. A massive thing that I do here, and what I used to do anyway to get into the habit of not doing this, is I will leave my phone further away than just beside me. So I'll maybe leave it in the bathroom, I'll leave it in the next room, or I'll leave it just further away in the bedroom so that I actually physically have to get up to turn it off. And then there I am. I'm up. Okay. But please, please, please stop snoozing your alarm. Like, that is something so small that you can bring with you for life, is to just get up when you said you were going to get up. That is the first rule to discipline and to confidence, is to say the things that you said you were going to do. And if that means you said that you were going to get up at a certain time of the day to do something, do it. Literally do it. Yesterday morning, I set an alarm for 5 a.m. because I wanted to get up and get a 10K run in early in the morning, so that I could set my day off, but also so that it was a little bit cooler when running. The alarm went off at 5 a.m. and obviously I wanted to be like, no, I wanted to roll back over in the bed, and I was like, no, do you know what? I'll just do the 10K later. Who cares? But I told myself I was going to wake up and I was going to get that 10K done at 6:30. And I needed to wake up at 5 because I needed to have a coffee and I needed to go to the toilet. If you know, we need to go to the toilet before we go to the gym or before we run, because we don't want to be doing that on the way. So I needed to wake up and give myself about an hour beforehand to actually do the things I needed to do and to just defrost, basically. And the alarm went off and I was like, I would honestly rather turn over in bed and say no. But I told myself I was going to get up at this time. So I got damn up and I felt so much better for it. I got my run done. I felt amazing. Everything felt so much better in the day. And can I please just tell you that once you wake up, that's the hardest part. Actually getting out of bed is the hardest part, and then you're awake. Okay, so stop snoozing your alarm. That is the first rule to discipline and to a good day. Stop snoozing the alarm. Do what you said you were going to do. Okay, that's so simple. And we're going to leave that in 2025, snoozing your alarm. The last thing that I want to bring in to this podcast, and it's not that we're leaving it in 2025, but it's something just for life in general, is stop having expectations on your age. And I slightly tipped on this at the start there, saying that I am turning 30 this year. And I think a lot of people have like a 30 life crisis when you turn 30 and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm coming into a new decade. Am I where I'm supposed to be? Literally just having a bit of a crisis and being like, oh, wow, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Not really understanding life and not having a clue. That's okay, because we all feel like that. I don't have a clue. Majority of the time, I'm like, God, what's going on today? Not even within life. And no one has it figured out, can I please just say? And even the people that think they have it figured out don't have it figured out. They'll think they have it figured out, and then the next day something will happen and it's back to square one. And the people that you think have figured out, please know, most definitely do not have it figured out. And I feel like that's something that we all need to take away in general, is to stop having these expectations on ages and to stop having limits on ages and to stop thinking that you need to have everything figured out by a certain time, because realistically, like, we have time. Like, we can still do what we need to do. Like, why are we putting this pressure on ourselves? Like, genuinely, why are we putting this pressure on ourselves? Like, let's be real, I'm turning 30 this year, and let's put it into perspective here. My cousin is also turning 30 and she has a mortgage on a house. She got engaged last year. She has just given birth to her first, most beautiful baby. She is the most adorable baby I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, like, she has a lot of things and achievements that she has under her belt and she's very proud of, I'm sure. I have none of those things. I'm turning 30 this year. Me and my cousin are like that. We had been glued to the hip since we've grown up. And I feel like it's the most perfect example of that was her values, and that's the way her life is, and that's the path that she's taking. And in my eyes, it can look like, oh my God, she has everything figured out and she has everything where she needs to be. But realistically, there's also things that she may struggle with. And there's also things that she doesn't have figured out, and that she is like, oh my God, am I doing things right? Or am I in the right place in all of this? And then there's me. I don't have a mortgage. I'm not engaged and set to get married. I haven't given birth. I'm not pregnant. I'm not in that phase of life either. And of course, I can feel like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? My life looks so different. I'm living in a different country. I work for myself. I'm trying to create a business here. I struggle day to day. I'm stressed out. I can be stressed to the nines on a day-to-day basis. And, someone could look at me, my cousin could be looking at me being like, wow, she has it all figured out. It looks amazing. And I'm looking at her being like, wow, she has it all figured out. All looks amazing. But really, it just comes down to your values in life and what you want and the phase of life that you're in and what you want to do right now. Stop focusing on everything at once and where someone else is and comparing, because realistically, I did for a second compare my life 1000% to my cousins, being like, wow, maybe I need to be doing that. And then I took a step back and I was like, but that's not what I want. I don't want that right now. I might want it in the future, but right now I'm so happy with my life and where I am and what I'm doing. And I want to build upon that. And she's so happy with her life and what she's doing, and she wants to build upon that. And it's honestly polar opposites. I'm living out here in Dubai in a different country. I miss my friends and family every day, of course. I don't see myself getting pregnant anytime soon, engaged, marriage, a mortgage anytime soon. I want to build my business. I really want to give my all to my clients. I really want to build this as much as possible. And then there is people in completely different stages of lives doing completely different things and completely different paths. And, you know, they may look on and be like, but that looks so cool. And comparing to what I'm doing. And I look on and compare and be like, oh, but I'm not doing that. So it's really important. I really hope that you take from this as well that no one has their shit figured out. And I think that was a massive thing that I have learned in general with regards to turning 30 this year. And I might do a whole podcast on this and a whole episode on this in general because it's massive. It's something I see a lot. And I think in 2025, that's why I'm saying to leave it in 2025. I struggled with it because I turned 29 and then I was like, oh my God, next year I'm 30. What am I doing with my life? What do I do with this? Trying to have it all figured out, trying to figure out if what I'm doing is actually right. What, like, do you know what I mean? And you start freaking yourself out for absolutely no good reason because really, what's that going to do? Do you know what I mean? So any 30 babies this year, any 30 babies last year, or anyone just coming into that time of life, I completely feel you. And anyone who thinks they're getting too old and can't do something or is freaking out over their age, please calm down because age is literally just a number and we are quite literally leaving that in 2025. Coming into 2026, it is all the positivity, it is all the gratitude, and we are so ready to hit the ground running. And I really hope that you enjoyed that podcast episode because I really, really did as well. And it has given me such a positive spring in my step for the day in general. And yeah, if you have gotten this far, thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for actually listening in general. If you're new, I hope that this episode gives you a little bit of a push to maybe listen to more or join in with us in the community. If you have listened to plenty of episodes or a few episodes, thank you so much. Like genuinely, I do put a lot into creating YouTubes, creating podcasts, creating content in general and giving you all as much as possible. So knowing that it's reaching at least one person and it's one person has gotten through this episode makes me so happy, genuinely. So thank you so, so much. I am very, very grateful. And as well as that, Happy New Year. Happy 2026. I hope that it is all that you all wish for in general. I might do a goal setting workshop as well with you all to help out with where we're at. If you haven't started on your goals, please know that that's absolutely fine. You can start in 2 weeks. You can start in February. You can start in March. You can start in February. Sorry, I've already said that. You can start on Tuesday. You don't start on Monday. You can do whatever you want. As I said, you don't need motivation to start either. You just need the want and the drive and the discipline to want to build upon your goals. And yes, I just wanted to say that as well, that you don't need to put the pressure on yourself to be setting out massive goals and all of these things right now. If you need to still think about it, that is absolutely fine. You don't need to start right now. It is great to start now because there's no right time. And I always say that. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. But also you don't need to put that pressure on yourself. You can also start in February. If you want to, you could start in June. You can start next November. Okay, you can do what you need to do. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I am over the moon as always to have anyone listening. And always remember, if there is a day that you don't believe in yourself or you are doubting yourself, I am always over here believing in you. And I'm always over here rooting for you.